Hello, I'm Betty Casey, editor of TulsaKids magazine, and the Children's Hospital at St. Francis and TulsaKids magazine have teamed up to bring parents a series of videos and articles about important children's health and wellness topics. You can find them under the heading PJ's Corner in TulsaKids magazine, along with the complete written and video interview on TulsaKids website. Today, we're talking to Dr. Pooja Parmar. She's a pediatrician at Warren Clinic Owasso who provides comprehensive health care for infants, children, and teens. She's welcoming new pediatric patients and referrals, and Warren Clinic accepts most insurance plans. So if you're looking for a pediatrician, Dr. Parmar is available. Today, we're going to talk about safe sleep guidelines. Welcome, Dr. Parmar.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Okay, the AAP, which is the American Academy of Pediatrics, has changed its safe sleep guidelines for the first time in 8 years. What necessitated these changes?
Yeah, so, every year, unfortunately, there are about 3,500 infant deaths that occur, which are sleep related. And after a monumental actually decline in 1990, there is been a little decline since 2020. So the numbers have been pretty stagnant since 2020. So over 20 years, we haven't really seen a decline. And that's the reason it's the time to get information out there for families so that they can be informed about safe sleep and kind of what kind of changes need to be made to ensure safety for the babies.
Okay, I remember when these guidelines first came out, because I'm old enough to actually remember that. I remember putting an infant to sleep on their back was the main guideline that I remember. Walk us through some of the main changes that the AAP is recommending.
Yeah, so a lot of things actually haven't changed. Some of the guidelines are still the same. So the crux of the safe sleep guidelines is still the same, which is talking about how babies should be sleeping in their own bed, in either a crib or a bassinet or a play yard, and so that hasn't changed. It also talks about a flat, firm sleeping surface, a non-inclined surface for babies. So those things haven't changed. What has changed is just the specifics of what is not a safe sleep surface for babies. And so it goes into specifics of what is not considered safe, such as an inclined surface or bed sleepers or loungers. It also talks about how babies sleeping in strollers or in their car seats is not considered safe. Even slings, swings are not considered safe. So it talks about how it's okay if the babies fall asleep there, but as soon as you're able to, they should be moved to their own safe sleeping surface, which is a crib, a bassinet, or a play yard.
Okay, so it sounds almost like these are expanded guidelines to talk
Uh-huh.
about other places that we put infants to sleep. And
Yeah.
talk about that a little bit because parents often want to buy these latest, cutest sleep related items for their babies, crib, uh, blankets, and things like that. So, can you give examples of some of these items that are sold but are maybe unsafe? And what's the safest? We talked about the safe sleep spaces for infants, flat and not on an incline. Um, is there, and also my follow up to that, is there a place that you can check because we assume that these things are for sale so that they're safe, and
Yeah.
evidently that isn't true.
Yeah, so the new guidelines also kind of throw some light on that, talking about how just because there are these products that are marketed as being safe does not mean that they are regulated by the Consumer Product Safety Commission. And if it's not regulated, it means that it's not tested enough to ensure safety. So it doesn't meet the safety standards of the other products that we are calling safe. And there are other products out there which recently, over the recent years, have become very popular, such as pulse oximeter or heart monitor, pulse monitor that parents use at home for babies, thinking that they are safe, but there's no evidence to support that these products ensure safe sleep and also prevent SIDS, which is the sudden infant death syndrome, which we are talking about, which is the reason why these guidelines are in place.
So, so some of these, is there a place to check or should we just ask our pediatricians about whether this would be a safe thing to have in our infant's sleep area?
So the AAP guidelines again reinforce that the only safe surfaces for babies to sleep in is a crib, bassinet, or a play yard. And it has to be a flat, firm mattress with a very tightly fitted sheet, non-inclined surface. There should be no stuffed toys, loose blankets, or loose sheets in the sleeping area. And it also talks about room sharing being okay. So until baby is 6 months old, babies can have this crib, bassinet, or play yard in the same room. Parents can have this crib, bassinet, or a play yard in their own room. That way, they are room sharing with the baby, but not sleeping in the same bed.
Okay, so that was my next question. So, having an infant in bed with you is not safe. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, so
So if the babies are not sleeping in a crib, in a bassinet, or in a play yard by themselves, it's not safe.
okay,
That's what the guidelines reinforce.
okay. And you mentioned sudden infant death syndrome, or SIDS. It's a sleep-related death risk that we've all heard about. But what are some of the other sleep-related risks? And also tell us, if we don't know, tell us a little bit about what SIDS is and um, why that's dangerous. Is there a cause for SIDS?
Yeah. So SIDS is sudden infant death syndrome. It's actually a subcategory of sudden unexpected infant death. Sudden unexpected infant death is a term that is used to describe deaths that occur suddenly, unexpectedly during infancy, meaning for babies under 1 year of age. Now, these sleep-related deaths can be because of an identifiable cause or because of an unknown cause. SIDS, the sudden infant death syndrome, is the term used for babies that have died suddenly because of an unknown cause after an investigation has been done. So some of the other sleep-related causes for that include strangulation, suffocation. Babies can sometimes roll over the bed and get entrapped between the bed and the wall. There are also chances where babies can roll over the couch and get entrapped between the couch and the couch cushion. There's also positional asphyxiation, where the position that the baby is sleeping in can block the airway. Now that can happen with some of the other unsafe sleeping environments that we're talking about. It's also about babies rolling over or falling from an unsafe or a soft sleeping surface. So those are some of the other identifiable causes.
Okay, so sleeping on, it sounds like an infant is in danger sleeping on a couch, sleeping on a soft surface that roll off of. So there are many types of on a bed with blankets and pillows and stuffed toys. So following these guidelines, it sounds very important. Which brings me to my next question. Some parents, an older generation, parents, caregivers, they're not sure about these safe sleep guidelines, and maybe they'd say, "Well, I always put my infant in a bed with lots of blankets." And can you talk about some of the bias, the older generation, the cultural bias that we might have? Sorry about the phone.
Yeah, so we hear that a lot. I think there is a survivor bias where we often hear that, I slept with my 4 or 5 kids and they turned out okay, they are just fine. There's also older generations, grandparents who are as caregivers who sometimes take offense if they are asked to care for a baby or a newborn that is different than the way they cared for their child. And there are cultural norms in different ethnic backgrounds and with generation gaps. There are cultural norms that get carried away from generation to generation, even if those don't meet the current safety standards. So I think a lot of that kind of comes into play here. But I do want to kind of emphasize that to grandparents, parents, and new parents out there, that just because things have changed from the time that you were a kid or you took care of a kid as a parent does not mean that anybody did anything wrong. With scientific and medical evidence and research, we are learning more. So we know better now. And since we know better, we ought to do better.
Right. Yeah. Often things change and we learn more and we can be safer because of it. So
Yeah.
that's wonderful. Is there anything else that you would want parents to know or caregivers about putting their infant to bed and safe sleep?
I think if there's any doubt, if there's any question, if what you're doing is safe or not, if you're unclear, just talk to your pediatrician or your family doctor. And the other thing, on a personal note, I have a 2-year-old at home, so he was a newborn not too long ago. I would like to share with all the parents out there, as a mom, I know that we are warriors. We worry about so many things. Are they eating okay? Are they growing okay? Are they going to make friends when they get older? Are they going to be kind individuals when they grow up? A lot of those things, those worries keep us awake at night often. But the one thing that helps us all sleep better at night is knowing that they are safe. And ensuring that they are sleeping in a safe sleep environment is just one way to do it.
Thank you so much. That is definitely one thing that we can all do, and we want our babies to be safe and grow up healthy. We
Yeah.
really appreciate your time, Dr. Palmer. That was
Thank you
great.
so much.
Um, you can find PJ's Corner in Tulsa Kids Magazine in print or online, and this and other health interviews like it at tulsakids.com. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for having me.